So can you tell me why did you decide to start your own business and why you chose this specific model that you're in right now?
Um, well, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. It's something that I felt was important. Growing up, I was always taught go to school, get a good job or get a good education, get a degree, get a good job, you know, work somewhere for the rest of your life and then have a retirement. I never understood what retirement was, what it meant. I never knew what a career was. But I always felt like I had an entrepreneurship background, entrepreneurship spirit. And so when I was introduced to different opportunities, I sold Cutco knives. I've done, online marketing. I've done nutrition products, and then I found an avenue to where I can actually, help people in a different way through finances and financial services. And so when I chose this route, I knew that I could run my own business. I can set my own schedule. I can help people all across this nation, and it just fits. So I like entrepreneurship too because of the freedom, the freedom to spend time with my family. That's
Yeah,
why there was a little delay because, my daughter woke up and you got to feed
that's
her and change her and get her ready and all these things and put on cartoons. So, flexibility. But if I had a 9 to 5, I wouldn't be able to do that. It
yeah,
was
definitely.
daycare or not being with her. So entrepreneurship gives you freedom. It gives you uncapped income and it gives you opportunity to help people in a different way.
Definitely, yeah. So are you right now focusing on the financial business that you have? Is that like in finance? Can you talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, I have, three different businesses. I do financial consulting. I also do, speaking engagements and things of that nature. And I'm still kind of in the nutrition realm as well. But fine, as far as finances, yeah, that's my bread and butter. That's what I love to do the most. And basically, I teach people how to make money, save money, and get out of debt, right? Because
Yeah,
we live in a society where people they're hurting right now because of the recession and things are going on with the different decisions being made about people's taxes and property taxes and the housing market. A lot of that's affecting a lot of Americans. And
definitely.
so, our mission, as a company is saving America by bringing back free enterprise and hope to American families. And when you talk about free enterprise, what does that mean? People have an opportunity to make income to build their businesses. I don't know if anybody really knows this, but back in the day, I want to say like the early 1900s, 1910s, this country was 10% like people actually working, going to a job, blue collar workers, and
Yeah,
then 90% was entrepreneurs. And now today it's flipped, right? 90% of people are working jobs, and then 10% are entrepreneurs. Well, entrepreneurs is what makes this world go round. But the thing is, what usually drives someone to become an entrepreneur is because finances. People want to make more money. People don't want to capture their income. They want to make 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, maybe even $1 million in a month. And you can't really do that with a salary. So we give people opportunity to do that. And then when we talk about bringing hope back to American families, is we know the number one struggle for a lot of people is money, finances, how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to keep their roof over their head, how they're going to retire. If there is an emergency or maybe something cracks, snaps, or breaks, the average American doesn't even have $1,000 to access to in case of an emergency. So I'm the
yeah,
one that creates a plan that says, okay, best case scenario happens. Hey, life is good. You build some wealth, you run some businesses. Let me show you how to allocate a portion of that money into a product that can grow in the stock market, can grow through compound interest, and you can use that money to leverage in the event of you want to buy a home, start a business, pay for a wedding, pay for college, buy a new car. Use that money tax free, penalty free, and without any different fees. That's best case scenario, and you can retire a multimillionaire without paying taxes. The worst case scenario is you have a family, you have a home, you have a business, you unfortunately pass away too soon. Who's going to help protect your assets? Well, you have a financial plan, you have life insurance, you have a buy sell agreement, you have all these different things set up to where if something happens to you financially, your family's okay. But let's say you
yeah.
get hurt, you get sick, you get cancer, you have a heart attack, you have a stroke. Guess what? In my financial plans that I help you set up, guess what you get to do? You don't have to worry about digging and doing a GoFundMe and asking family members for money to help pay for that treatment. You can use your life insurance, something called living benefits, to pay for those medical needs. So, again, when it comes to proper planning, a lot of people don't know where to go. Some people even are embarrassed to ask people how to do it. Yet, when you get the right information and you get the right products, I'm the person who gets to help you do that. So that's what I do in
Yeah.
financial services.
Yeah. So let's say someone is trying to like learn more about that on their own. Do you recommend like kind of like a database that they look into it, or like Google or something like that?
Books. Always start with books, right? Always starts with books. There's so many different books that you can read. Robert Kelly's Tax-Free Retirement is one of the first books I read in the industry. The Richest Man to Ever Live by Scott. What's this? I can't remember his last name. That's another book, that deals with my industry. Your Next Five Moves by Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
And then follow up with that with, Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David. Like there's always different books that you can read that
Yeah.
teaches you financial strategies, business strategies, how to scale a business, how to learn about managing your money in a business. I know I'm aiming more towards finances, but there's all types of self-help development books.
Definitely.
Relentless by Tim Grover is a good book that I've read. Um, you know, the Power of One by Ed Milet is another good book. I mean, there's so many different books that you can read.
Yeah.
You, Eric Thomas, that's another good book. And so I would start there. If you really want to know about self-development, growing a business, building relationships, how to win friends and influence people, the Energy Bus, by I think John Gordon wrote that book. There's just so many books that you can read and that teach you about money, family, your spiritual growth, your finances, business, all those things start
Definitely.
with books. And then you go to the YouTubes and maybe TikTok is something that's popular now. But I would always say that is the first place that I would start. And then I would start with associations,
Yeah.
getting around people who have or in a field that you want to be in. They have what you want, right? Who are seven-figure earners or even six-figure earners in your respective industry or the area of focus you want to go to. And I'm talking like these are real cash flow people making money in that industry or in a realm that you want to be in. So you want to improve your associations. That's number one. Two, read a bunch of books. Like just study every book you can get your hand on, even if it's an Audible. And then number three, I would say go to conferences. Go to meetings. Some seminars are free, some cost money. My company is actually hosting a very good seminar in January 22nd through the 25th. And we're gonna have Andy Elliott and his wife Jacqueline Elliott. Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be there to talk about the culture of America right now. Patrick Bet-David's going to be there to talk about again business, scaling a business, leadership development. It's going to be a lot of people there. So guys like me, I'm telling people whether you are interested in finances or business or relationship or health, like there's going to be so much for people to have at this type of conference. So I always tell
Yeah.
people go to conferences, attend as many conferences as you can, whether it's free or even if you got to put up some money, pay the money to go to the conference. It's always worth it.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so let's say someone is kind of working right now a job and he's just trying to like kind of start like getting more of the benefits. What do you like say the some of the most important assets that he can acquire just to make sure that he like has a good sustainability?
When you say benefits, what do you mean by benefits? Like he's working a
Like
job, what do you mean benefits?
remember earlier you said like kind of if you have like a couple of assets that could help you like with a lifetime insurance and all of that good stuff.
Okay, and you asking what can he do to acquire those things or build
Yeah,
upon them?
basically. So like maybe invest in like some like stocks, like a kind of like an insurance company and kind of that kind of stuff.
Okay. I focus a lot in the index market, index accounts, index universal life insurance, index annuities, things of that nature. So I work with a lot of guys, a lot of families, a lot of men, women, single moms, single dads who work the 9 to 5 and they're looking to invest and then, like you said, protect their assets. So, one thing I always tell people to really look into is index universal life insurance or index annuities, right? Because it's protected, through insurance. There's special IRS tax codes that protect insurance from market loss and market volatility and things of that nature. And it's protected to where if you want to use that money in the future tax free, you can do that inside of an insurance product. Again, it builds money and accumulates cash, over time. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with index products. I always say get life insurance outside of your job. If you have life insurance through your job, it might be a good plan that they're paying for, but remember, they still own that product. So if you leave the job, you get fired, get laid off, or they move and you can't relocate, you no longer have that insurance. But the thing about insurance is it's usually cheaper when you're younger and it gets more expensive when you're older. So let's say you're working a job, you start there at 20 years old, you work there for 15 years. Now you're 35, boom, you leave. They relocate, may go to China or whatever. They leave. You're not moving to China because your family's in America. Well, guess what? Now you have to reapply for an insurance product, but it's not going to be the cost of when you were 20. It's going to be a cost of now you're 35. So a $500,000 policy that could have cost you $210 at 20 now is going to cost you 350, 450 when you're 35. Maybe you have some health issues. So I always encourage people, if you really want to protect your assets and you want to own your own plan, get a life insurance plan outside of your job. Again, your job's going to make you as comfortable as possible. That's what they're supposed to do with 401ks, dentists, vision, life insurance. They want to keep you. They want to keep their employees, but at the end of the day, you will always be an employee. And they will fire you and they will let you go. And they will say, this is not personal, this is business. But your family, that home you have, that car you have, your kids in their private school, that's personal. That's not business. So I always tell people, have a retirement plan outside of what your company offers you, have a life insurance plan outside of what your company offers you. Again, protect your assets using different products. I'm not saying you have to go all in on index. Have an IRA if you want an IRA. Have money in the stock market if you have money in the stock market. Put money in real estate because real estate is very good. Have those things. Have a little bit of savings. Put money in a savings account. Not too much because your savings account it's not going to give you much of a return. You're just kind of tucking that away. But you want to have different options you can choose from, but make sure you choose the best option that's going to give you the best return. Again, even if you're a 9 to 5 or a business owner, doesn't matter. Like you want to have something that you own that is yours. So that's what I
Yeah.
would say. That's what I would suggest is to start there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And where do you see your overall business like 5 to 10 years from now?
Oof, I'm retired. I'm done. I mean, in my industry, it's weird. If you Google right now, the number one industry that makes the most millionaires, it's financial services. Just in the past I want to say 5 months, I've seen five new millionaires in this company that I work with. Two of them have made $2 million in a 12-month rolling period, right? So from November of 2022 to November of 2023, they've made $2 million in this industry. And they've been in the industry for a while. So we're talking collectively, they've probably made over 13, 14, $15 million in the last 8 years, right? So I say for me, I want to get on a point to where I'm not making $1 million every year. I'm making $1 million a month. Like in 10 years, 11 years, that's my plan. I want to be at the point to where in 12 months, I'm making 12, 13, 14, $15 million, right? So then I have that's grown and built. And then I have my speaking company that's growing. I'm speaking, I'm traveling. And then I want to get into a little bit of real estate. So 10, 11 years, my trajectory is I have so much income coming in to where a portion that can go to my church, a portion that goes to my family, a portion that goes back into my business, and a portion that is just fun. I'm 36 years old. 10 years from now, I want to be retired and not retired to where I'm not going to do anything, but to where I don't have to take a phone call. I don't have to, show up to a gig. I don't have to show up to a meeting if I don't want to. If me and
Yeah,
my future wife want to just go to Bahamas and just kick it for a week, we'll grab the grandkids, take them away from the parents, or hopefully I don't think I have grandkids 10 years from now, but I can grab the kids, do what I want, and have that freedom, and be able to give back to my church, and I mean like $100,000, boom. What do you need, pastor? What do you need, deacon? Giving back to my fraternity, giving back to the company, but also, being a parent to my kid. My kids are still young, so 10 years from now, most of them, maybe only a couple of them will be teenagers, right? They're
yeah,
young. So I want to be at every soccer game. I want to be at every practice. I want to be at everything while still running my businesses, having fun. I love working. I really do.
yeah,
But I also want to have that flexibility to where I can get on the private jet. My kids are in California. I got to fly to Miami. I run a quick meeting. Boom, I come back. I'm back home for dinner with my kids and my girl. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah,
the life I
definitely.
want. That's what I'm working towards right now.
Yeah. So what would you say like the hardest part about running a successful business?
Consistency. The hardest part is consistency. I have to tell people, man, in my early stages, again, I'm a hard worker. You tell me to do something, boom, I'm gonna go do it. But you get distracted, being a young man, whether you're in California, Texas, Michigan, Florida, New York, it's easy to get distracted, very easy to get distracted, especially when you have a job and maybe you have a family of kids, a girlfriend, boyfriend. It's very easy to get distracted. And once you have that little ounce of distraction, man, your consistency can get thrown off for a week, 2 weeks. And we will in business, we say, if you take a day off, it's like taking a week off. You take a week off, it's like taking a month off. If you take a month off, it's like taking 3 to 6 months off. So even if you miss one day out of the week and you don't do anything to build your business, it's literally like it feels like taking a week off. And so I tell people I used to be consistent at being inconsistent. It was a stop and a start and a stop and a start. That was my own bad because I had life going on. I had distractions, kids, bad relationships. Um, you do those things and then you get distracted and you fall off for 3, 4, 5 days and then you try to pick it back up again. But it's almost like you just keep restarting. And imagine trying to run a marathon. And a marathon is what, 26.2 miles.
Yeah.
And you're running and let's say you're like me and you're not even a long distance runner. I can give you a hot 6 miles. After that, I'm dead. But let's say I just keep running 6 miles and then I stop. And then guess what? I'm taking a break. I'm getting something to drink. I take a nap. It's almost like I'm starting back over once I get back started. So imagine me running another 6 miles and then running another 3 miles. And I just keep resetting. That marathon's never going to be finished. So to
Yeah.
wrap that up, a lot of people are just terrible at being consistent. Like they're terrible at showing up every single day for their business. That's what people really struggle with is in business, it's not hard. You just have to do the work and you have to show up every day. If you don't show up every day, your business will not be successful. I'm not saying you can't take days off, but they say businesses usually fail the first 2, maybe 3 years because for those first 3 years, you're eliminating all distractions. You're not going to baby showers. I've missed birthday parties. I've missed Christmases. I've missed quinceañeras. I've missed so much fun trips to Six Flags, going out. I don't do none of those things. I'm locked in, focused. I'm reading. I'm learning. I'm growing. And it takes that. And I could say after doing that since 2021, I have a great team. I have a great business that's running and operating now from coast to coast. And it takes that sacrifice. But I would say that's what usually hurts most people.
Yeah, definitely. So would you say that have been like your biggest kind of learning experience of running like a business? Kind of just
Oh,
be consistent? Or is there like more stuff that you learned?
uh, I wouldn't even say that was the biggest learning experience. I would say the biggest learning experience was when you get started in a business, right? And it can be financial services, it can be nutrition, you can sell Mary Kay, whatever it is. Most people, they want fast success, right? And I'm an athlete, at heart. Till this day, I'll pick up a basketball, throw a football, run on the track. I love competing, right? I love competition. Being
Yeah.
an athlete taught me that on the other side of that line, playing football, the other team is trying to win just like you're trying to win. Or when you get on that track and there's 9 lanes, there's 8 other guys that are trying to beat you. But we all worked hard. We all put in the work. We all trained. We all ate right. We all did everything we could to get to this position. So we're all at the top elite level. But guess what? The person who outworks, outtrains, out strategizes, out improves, and even outlasts the next opponent, they win every single time. And people will try to tell you, oh, the right team didn't win or the right person didn't win. No, the best athlete at that exact moment, the best team at that exact moment when they played in sync, they won. And that's very tangible to your performance, right? So that part of athletics, I know that if I get on the track after working out, eating right, exercising, stretching, doing all those things, and I would just blow people out, it's like, yeah, because I worked harder than you. In business, the instant gratification doesn't come like that. The instant gratification of, oh, I just made $1 million doesn't come like that. If you know people who knock on doors, if they want to make 100,000, they'll tell you you got to knock on 800 doors. To the regular brain, you're like, 800 is a lot of doors. That would take me months to knock on 800 doors, asking if they want to buy solar, asking if they want to buy whatever product. That's a lot. But you know what? It's that mental fortitude to say, I can't knock on 5 doors and expect to make $100,000. Just like I can't go out and train on the track and do drills and study and practice, and then boom, I win a race. It's not that
Yeah.
tangible. And I would say that was the biggest battle for me for the first 2, 3 years of being in business. I couldn't understand, well, I'm making the phone calls, I'm talking to people, I'm learning this, I'm doing this. Why am I not a millionaire? is because you have to do all of the extra work. You have to do the little things. You have to do the administrative work. You got to make the phone calls. You got to do every single thing. And even if you do every single thing, you still may not even get a positive result. You may, but you don't. And I would say that's the hardest part that I've had to overcome my first, 2, 3 years in business until 2021. I said, okay, let me study what the real top guys are actually doing. And then once I really studied it, I was like, oh, this is easy. So my income increased, my production increased, my, team grew. And I was like, that was the biggest hurdle is detaching my tangible results from being an athlete or just being an academic, sitting down, taking a test and getting an A or writing a 6 page paper and getting an A. I had to strip that away from my mindset and my beliefs and say, Mark, you're going to have to make 1,000 calls 1,000 calls if you want to make 6 figures. And in my life, I never would have thought I'd make 1,000 calls, but I had to break it down to 50 calls a day and just keep going and going and going that way. So I would say that was my biggest hurdle. First 3 years in business is just detaching myself from tangible results and keeping that same injuries no matter what the outcome was.
Definitely, yeah. So, what advice would you give to your like 17-year-old self?
Oh, I always see this post on Facebook and Instagram. I would tell them what I always say the same 3 things: stay in church, read the Bible, get closer to God, stay a virgin, because I was still a virgin at 17. Stay a virgin. Don't mess with girls, don't have a girlfriend, get $500,000 in the bank, read 100 books, and stay in shape. And it's funny, I tell my son this, right? He'll tell you, I say, can you have a girlfriend? He'll be like, no, no girlfriend. Why? What do you got to do for us? He'll say, have $500,000 in the bank, read 100 books, get a 6 pack, and start a business. He'll tell you, right? And that's what I would tell my 17-year-old self. If anybody can give me that advice, and my son, we read the Bible every day with him. But that's what I would say is like keep your relationship with God, get as close to God with Jesus as you can. Stay in shape, make $500,000 in business, read 100 books, and stay away from girls, man. There's nothing wrong with having a relationship, but again, that distraction factor, and then you get
Yeah,
sex and all
it's-
these things. If I could tell my 17-year-old self those 5 things, I'd probably be a billionaire by now.
yeah, definitely, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So let's say someone would want to start like a business right now. What advice would you give them, and what do you need to do to go from just zero to $10,000 a month?
Kind of what I said earlier. Find out find out number one what you're good at that a lot of people aren't good at. That's number one. Find out what your gift is. Like really find out what you're good at that if nobody would pay you for it, you'd still do it, right? And find out what you truly can grow and develop in, right? Because there's just some things like for example, real estate. Real estate's a very sexy industry, right? But to me, and this is just me, and I love my real estate friends, and they know how I feel about real estate. I love them as partners, but real estate is it's just bland to me. It's you buy a home, you buy commercial, you either flip it, you rent it out, and that's pretty much it, right? Or you're a realtor and you're just showing one family 10 homes, and then they don't make a decision, and you just wasted your Thursday, Friday, Saturday showing them the home, and then they decide they don't want a home at all, right? They're not
Mhm.
ready. So it's like it doesn't get no simple that. Or maybe you go around and look at homes and then you go, oh, I want that one. You buy it, you build it up, and then you flip it, you sell it, you make money, right? Again, great industry. I know millionaires in real estate, but I'm like, that's it. There's nothing else to that. There's nothing else to that. And I'm like, well, if you don't want to do that for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, I wouldn't get into that industry. That's why I didn't get into real estate. And there's still some realtors who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s who still are showing homes. And I'm like, I'm not saying that has to be your destiny, but I'm like, that's it. Like, there's no leadership development, there's no team development, there's no people development. No, because most realtors, most brokers don't want their best realtors to either pass them or leave them,
Yeah,
right? So it's kind of like you're gonna make your money, but you don't want the person under you to pass you or leave you because now that takes away a big chunk of your money. So I say that with to say find an industry that you can scale, So you can always go up in the industry. You can always improve and increase profit and things of that nature. And you can lead people in that same industry. So you can help other people grow. You can help other people build a business. So that way, not only can you have a legit functioning running business, but you can also create passive income. That's the goal. Find
Mm.
an industry or something you can do that has passive income. Even if it's like being a barber, right? You're a barber, you're cutting hair. Now you're putting some money to the side to have a shop. Boom. Now you open up a shop with 6 chairs. Now you own the shop, but each chair, every barber's paying $1,000 in rent. Boom, that's $6,000 that you're getting. And then let's say the shop mortgage is what? I don't know, $1,300. I don't know if that's expensive or not, but let's say it's $1,300. And then you pay a couple bills or whatever, whatever. Now your shop is, bringing you in $4,000 every single month in passive income. Then you take that money, you reinvest it, you open up another shop, and then you open up another shop, and then you open up another shop. Now you have 6 shops bringing you $4,000 a month in passive income, and you can still cut hair. But then guess what you do? Then you start a school. Now you don't start a school for just adults, start a barber school for kids. So kids who are interested in learning how to cut hair, boom, now you bring them to school, you teach them how to do fades. Now guess what? They're 16, 17 years old cutting their friend's hair and making $50 a haircut. And you taught them how to, boom, make
Yeah.
a cut hair. And then you teach them business technique. You bring somebody like me in, and then I teach them how to manage their money. So now you got a 15, 16, 17-year-old who went to your school, and I'm teaching them how to manage their money. So by the time they're 26, boom, they got $1 million in the bank. And why? Because you taught other people how to cut hair. And then now
Yeah.
your school blows up, you get funding, it becomes a grant. Now it's a university. So now guess what you built? You built this whole empire, and all you did was what? You started cutting hair from the beginning. So I say that right there, you building pupils, leaderships, there's conferences, you can hold seminars about cutting hair. I'm just using this example because
Yeah.
that's the type of business that I would want to have. That's what I do in financial services. So going back to the person who's looking to start a business, don't just start a business to start a business. Like I know people who have clothing lines and things of that nature. Those are great. But if
Yeah.
you really want to create an empire, find something that can create you passive income. Find something that you're really good at that a lot of people aren't good. Like I'm decent at cutting hair. I cut my son's hair, but I'm not the best barber.
Yeah.
But find something that you're good at, that you have a gift in, that other people aren't good at. As you can tell, I love speaking. I love
Yeah.
talking. I was a kid where they put us in a group of 5 and they'd be like, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Who's going to present? I'd be like, I am, right? So I would go up there, I would get all the information, and I go up there and kill it. And we get an
Yeah.
A. That's just what I'm good at. I'm good at speaking, preaching, and teaching.
Yeah.
That's what I've always been good at. So when people say, Mark, what is your gift? Speaking, preaching, and teaching. That is what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Find a business that can grow your gifts. You can expand on your gifts. And then, like I said, you can scale it, you can grow it, you can teach, you can build leaders. Find something like that. I know that might be tough for some people, but then that goes back to just surrounding yourself with people who interest you. Surround yourself with a Patrick David. Surround yourself with an Inky Johnson. Surround yourself with a Eric Thomas. Surround yourself with a Les Brown. Surround yourself with a Grant Cardone. Surround yourself with a Sean Stevenson. I'm saying these names because these people are in the industry that I want to be in. I've met Patrick David. I've met Sean Stevenson. I've had dinner with him and his family. I've been around Eric Thomas. These are guys who I look up to, and I'm like, okay, let me be around them. Let me see how they talk. Let me see how they run business. Let me listen to their podcast, right? And I'm gonna watch their behavior, their mannerism, and then boom, that's what helped my business grow. So
Yeah.
to answer the question again, find a time, figure out your gift, use that gift to grow a business, to scale it, to create passive income, and then that way again 10, 15, 20 years down the line you can be like, man, I built this business, what else can I do, what else can I grow, what else can I produce, what else can I expand in that's going to create another empire. That's what I would say. And if again,
Yeah.
if you don't know
Definitely.
where to look, just start, just again find something you're interested in, follow those people on Instagram, start reading their books, and then go to their conferences. That's what I would say.
Definitely. Yeah. And would you say like going into conferences? Because I know like networking is really, really important in business. What do you think would like help you network with those like high kind of level individuals like higher than you?
Go to their conferences. Absolutely. You know, they say your net work is your net worth, right? So who you're around, they always say the five people you're around, I can tell you what your bank account looks like. I can tell you what your habits are. I can tell you what your personality are just by the five people you hang around the most, right? So get
Yeah,
around those people. I would say since 2016, when I really discovered ET, 2014, anytime Eric Thomas was in California, I would go to every conference. I was at everything, right? Anytime he was in California. And then when I got a little bit of money, I actually went to Mexico to see Eric Thomas, and I was right there with him for a week every day, him and his team. And I was around them, I was listening, I was asking them questions, like I was taking notes. I was around them all the time, like a Patrick B. David or even some of our leaders in our company. Get around them. You know, I just attended a meeting in Florida 2 weeks ago with some of our top 6, 7 figure earners in the company. And there was a point where we just had a party. And guess what I did? I just started talking to them. I was like, dude,
yeah,
what are you doing out in Texas? What are you doing out in North Carolina? What are you doing out in Florida? What are you doing? I need to know what you're doing. And I'm face to face with these guys. So when
yeah,
you get to those conferences, you can actually hold a conversation with you. And then if they really like you and they're engaged, they might even give you their number. So they'd be like, look, here's my number. Call me anytime. Right. Because I do the same thing with some of the young guys in our company. I'm just
yeah,
talking to them and giving them game, and boom, they're like, yo, can I get your number? Now we have a relationship. So now every so often I might text them and be like, yo, what's good? How you doing? How's the business? Oh, Mark, I'm struggling with this. But that's because I was in this environment. You got to put yourself in an environment. You got to go shake hands with ET. You got to keep showing up to where he recognizes your face, or Patrick or David or Ed Milet or Sean Stevenson. You know, what's crazy is Sean Stevenson used to live in Missouri. Then he moved to LA. But prior to him moving to LA, no, after him moving to LA, I went to Mexico to the conference for ET, knowing Sean was going to be there. I'm a big fan of Sean. I'm sitting at the dinner table, and at the private event, and
yeah,
then his wife, and then his kids, and him sit right at the table, and I was like, what? Like I don't get starstruck. I live in LA. I do bodyguard work. I see celebrities all the time. But
yeah,
the people I've been listening to Sean's podcast for almost 10 years. I've
yeah,
been following his content. I've messaged him in the DMs, and it's like, yo, it's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, it's me,
yeah,
the guy you've been messaging your DMs and you've been helping grow. But if I wasn't at that conference, brother, I wouldn't
yeah,
even have the chance to be at that dinner. But here's the most beautiful part about it. And I'm really hoping this answers your question. I didn't even talk to him as much as I thought I would. I talked to his wife and his wife's mom, and we had one of the best conversations that I've ever had at any conference. We talked about love and relationships and my broken heart at the time, dealing with relationships. We
yeah,
talked about health. We talked about meditation and me and her had like the best conversations. And I
definitely.
was like, it was never in a million years I would have thought that I would have had dinner with someone I look up to and admire and have a dinner with his family. And so you got to be in those settings. You got to be in those conferences. You got to be in that environment. So go to every conference you can, be around those people, and you never know. You might end up in an elevator with them, and you might have the best 30-second conversation that they can just drop a bomb on you. And then you're like, I'm
Yeah,
good. I'm ready to go get it. So
definitely.
look up the conferences, look at where they're at, go to their podcasts, do everything to be around this, surround yourself,
Definitely.
be surrounded by them.
Yeah. So last question of today is so you're obviously really good at speaking, presenting. What kind of tips do you give to people to get better? Because I know a lot of people get like nervous when they're trying to talk to like people and just kind of like presenting and stuff.
Uh, you know, it's always funny when I get this question because I always say I'm an extreme extrovert, right? And I'm not the
Yeah.
person to be like, oh, introvert, extrovert, I can do this, I can't do that. I say that because it's relatable to people, but I love people. Like I am the opposite of what an introvert would say. They get around other people and they say their battery drains. I hear that a lot, like on social media. No, my battery goes up. I can be on fumes, headache, tired. Like the other day, it was a Tuesday, I believe. I had the worst migraine in my head. My daughter was, not having the best day. She's pooping all over the place. But guess what? I gotta go to the office. I gotta meet new agents. I gotta meet new guests. I gotta present. I gotta talk. I gotta be engaged. The whole time, I'm not feeling it. But guess what? I got around people instantly, that switch turned on. And so you got to be around people to grow that skill. You got to be around people to grow the ability to talk, to converse. You can't talk to yourself. So if you're someone who wants to learn how to speak, go hold conversations with people. Go to events. Go to Eventbrite. Go to Meetup. Go to networking event. And if you're somebody like me, I like trivia. Go to a trivia event, sit with some strangers, be like, yo, can I sit with you? Hey, my name is Mark. What's your name? Oh, your name is Dave. Hey, Dave, where are you from? And then spark up a conversation. And
Yeah,
guess what you're learning? You're learning how to converse. And then when you need to speak in front of people, guess what? You know how to hold a conversation, because that's all public speaking is you're
yeah,
holding a conversation with the crowd. You're looking at people who's really looking at you. You make eye contact with them, and then you speak to them because they're engaged. But you got to get practice, and that's simply by going out, talking to people, having conversations with strangers. Even if you're at the bus stop or at Walmart, the cashier, you got 45 seconds to have a conversation with the cashier while she, swipes your
yeah,
stuff, and then you pay for it. Ask her, hey, Crystal, how was your day? How's
yeah,
everything going for you? What's good? And then get used to that, build that. And that's what I would say to anybody who's learning how to speak more is you gotta do it. You gotta get yourself around people. And then when the opportunity presents itself, maybe to pray in front of the church or present at your job. And usually, David does the presentation. You're like, hey, Dave, you know what? Today, I want to do the presentation. I want to
yeah,
speak. And then go screw it up and do a terrible job. And you go, okay, now I know where I can improve. Record yourself.
yeah,
And then when you're recording yourself, you're like, ooh, I studied there. Or, I used to say like a lot, like. And I recorded myself one time and I said, man, I say like a lot. So
yeah,
I started speaking more and I started cutting out like. You start
yeah,
cutting out certain words that you repeat or whatever. So that's what I would say do. If you want to learn how to speak, is you got to put yourself in environments where you have to engage with people. You have to converse. You have to, you know, what they say, be interested, don't be interesting. As in, don't sit there and just talk about yourself all the time. No,
yeah,
be interested in the person you're talking to, learn about them, say their name multiple times, things of that nature. And then now you've made an impact on them. And now you just go do that to the next person. And then you
definitely.
get on stage and all these skills that you've been learning and you've been working on,
Yeah,
boom. Literally,
yeah,
it translates, trust me.
yeah. Thanks so much for the podcast. It was awesome.